If you're looking for a podcast that packs in sound property advice, as well as offering you an insight into making the world of property effective and ultimately work for you, you're in the right place. Hosted by Arsh, the original property rebel. He's written an Amazon bestseller, created the Property Investor app, the UK's first, and is an experienced property mentor. More importantly, he talks the talk and walks the walk.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of The Property Rebel with your host Arsh. And in today's session, we're going to be covering a great topic, my 5 top tips to succeed in property. Now, before we go any further, I want to say a quick hello to all new subscribers. Hopefully you're enjoying the podcast. If you've only just found me, hopefully you're enjoying it. Listen to all the episodes. You're going to get a load of golden nuggets from it. As with all the podcasts and all the episodes, this is a one-hit take, which means that you're going to get some mistakes. You're going to get some ifs, ums and ahs, and even some long pauses. But believe it or not, it's actually okay. So I want to say that whilst I'm recording this, you may hear some bangs in the background. And the reason why is that I'm actually on one of my development sites and I've been meaning to do this recording, and this is the only time that I've been able to squeeze it in. So my 5 top tips to succeed in property is very, very clear. Now, the first one, some of them may actually can be considered as common sense, but you'll be actually surprised at how many people think about these and in this order as well. So rule number 1, or top tip number 1, is first one, have defined goals. Now, the reason why we say that is because we all jump into property, or we all get excited in property, and we all get carried away by the hype. You may have been on a training course and they've told you about what to do and how to do it, and you go off and you run around like a headless chicken. We've all been there, and if that's you, nod your head right now. I can imagine quite a few of you nodding your heads. Now, having goals is such an important part, because the goals will define your success, and how by having goals you'll also be able to monitor where you are, where you're going wrong, what you need to speed up in, what things that you need to slow down in. So for me, having a goal is one of the most important parts. But having a goal is great, but you have to break it down into lots of what I consider sub goals. Now, what a sub-goal is, let's just imagine that I want to become successful in property. That is almost like a vision. Now, my goal will be that I want to acquire, let's say, 10 properties this year. Now, that's a goal. However, in order to get to that goal, there's got to be lots of actions and lots of steps that have got to be taken. So you've got to create lots of mini goals. So you've got to understand, what is your strategy? What's your vehicle to get you there? So is it going to be that you're going to go off and do it under rent to rent? Is it that you're going to do it under service accommodation? Are you going to try and acquire things via lease options? Are you going to try and buy properties below market value? What is your strategy? How are you going to get there? Because then this defines the other avenues that you need to take. Let's give you an example. If you're going to do rent to rent, are you going to go direct to agents? Are you going to go direct to the vendor? Are you going to go directly to the owner, the landlord? If so, again, that defines a different avenue. If you're going to go directly to an agent, how are you going to contact them? Are you going to initially call them, then going to arrange to meet them for a coffee? Or if you're going direct to the owner, how are you going to approach that owner? Are you going to try and find them off one of the platforms? Are you going to try and call them? Are you going to send them a letter? Are you going to send them a postcard? Or are you going to use one of your unique marketing methods? As you can appreciate, all these take time, and you've got to make sure that you've got the time in order to put in the effective method to achieve your goals. My second tip is that you've got to be creative. Now, we're in a massive, what I sometimes consider an overcrowded marketplace. Now, before social media, I would not have known that someone in Milton Keynes is doing this, someone in London is doing this, someone down up in Scotland is doing this, someone down in Bournemouth is doing this. Now, with social media, it's so easy to almost compare ourselves against them. And comparing is good. Sometimes being competitive is good. Being creative is far better. And the reason why I think being creative is probably one of the top tips is because the most creative will be the most successful. And I've said it in quite a few podcast episodes before. Those who are a one-trick pony will only know one trick. They will only know that they can buy the property 25% below market value. They don't know all the other strategies, so therefore they're not able to help as many vendors as those who are fully and the most creative. So looking at one of the vendors' problems and coming up with a solution that none of the other people that they had spoken to have come up with. This is what makes me unique. I personally believe that anyway. Especially in my location, there's not many people that I know that can go to a vendor and speak to them and say, here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan C. And I always give the vendor almost like 3 possible solutions, and we figure out which is the best for them, which is best for me, and how we can work in the middle. So plan A will always be the ones that's best for them. Plan B will always probably be, or should I say plan C is always the one that's best for me. And we've always got a plan B in the middle where it's almost like our negotiation ground or how we can come around. So it really creates a real win-win scenario. So one thing I'd say is don't compare yourself against others, because you can spend so much time comparing yourself, and just focus on your own path. Remember, you've set your goals, work towards those goals, be creative, learn all the different strategies. I'm not saying that you're going to be a master of all, but the one thing that you do have to know is the basics of all the strategies, so that every time you look at something, you can define, okay, it won't suit that strategy. It won't suit this strategy. It won't suit this strategy. And away we go. Now, next one again is of prime importance. Tip number 3, focus and discipline, which kind of overlaps from tip number 2, shut the noise out. Shut the noise out. Because there will be times where people will say, yeah, you know what, Arsh, I'm not sure if you can do that. Or, Arsh, don't do that because this, and this, and this. Or you're going to lose money by doing this. Or we don't think that's a great idea. You're the one that knows best. Yes, by all means, you can take advice by solicitors, accountants, tax advisors. But there's been lots of times where my solicitor has said to me, Arsh, I don't think that this is the right property to buy. And I've just said to him, you know what? It's my money. I decide what to spend it on and how to spend it. I'm buying this property. He makes me sign a waiver to say that he's provided me with some advice and I didn't take it. And I've gone off and bought it. Now, I can share so many examples, like houses which have got mine shafts underneath. The funeral director, the funeral director's building that I bought in Wolverhampton, that everyone thought was a derelict or, almost like a building that no one should touch. There's so many scenarios where the solicitor said, Arsh, don't do this. But then once it's prevailed, or once we've actually made a decent profit off it, they turn around and said, you know what, to be fair play. I've had a scenario where we had a 17-bed care home and my business partner said, you know what, let's get rid of this thing even if we make a loss. And I said, no, we're sticking to our guns. So sometimes you have got to focus. Sometimes you've got to believe your inner self. Sometimes you've got to shut the noise out and realize that by not giving up, you're giving yourself the best possible opportunity. Now, remember, you've got to stay focused. The one thing I say in property all the time is that property is a marathon, not a sprint. For those that treat property as a sprint will be the ones that burn out the quickest. And I've seen it time and time again. People have gone on a weekend workshop straight away. They come out the weekend workshop, boom, 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 100 miles an hour. Guess what? Guess what happens to them in week 2, week 3, and week 4 when they probably haven't had the desired results? They say, you know what, to be fair, this isn't really the right strategy. You haven't given yourself the time to succeed in that strategy. Sometimes by putting a letter out to a vendor, if they haven't responded to you within the first week, you're thinking, you know what, this isn't really going to work. But sometimes vendors may not respond to you within the first year. Sometimes it may not be the right time to sell to them, or they may have other things going on in the background. These are all things that you've got to take into consideration. Therefore, you've got to play the game as if you're running the marathon, not the sprint. The sprinters will burn out, and we see them time and time again come out, and all of a sudden, they're here 1 month, they're on Facebook going, blah, 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 I've done this, I've sent out 500 letters, blah, 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 blah. Month 2, month 3, they fizzle out. Month 4, they're non-existent. Now, takes me on to my next point, which is still part of focus and discipline. Be consistent, especially with your marketing, because I'll give you this podcast as an example. This podcast comes out every Tuesday at 6 a.m. every week without fail. And the reason why I do that, because if I was to put it out at Tuesday this week, and then the following week I'll put it out on Wednesday, the following week I'll put it out on Thursday, the following week I'll put it out on Monday, when would you ever know? Make your message consistent. Make your strategy consistent. Be Mr. or Mrs. Consistent. Over deliver and under promise. Or is it over promise, under deliver? No, it's definitely not the second one. You've got to be consistent. So if you're dealing with a landlord, you say you're going to meet him at 6 o'clock, make sure you're there for 5:45. If you say that you're going to release a podcast, you're going to write a book, you're going to meet some deadlines, you've got to do it. If you've put a marketing message out, let's say you've sent out 10,000 leaflets, no one ever gets successful off a one-hit campaign. You have to put yourselves out there again and again and again. And let's use some of the largest brands in the world as an example. Do you think Coca-Cola only put out one advert and created a one-hit wonder? No, they didn't. How much money and effort have they put into advertising and into creating the brand so that we know exactly what it is and it's instantly recognizable? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to create an instantly recognizable brand, and if you do, great. However, what you've got to do is that if you send out one letter, follow it up with another letter, follow it with another letter, get in their face, make sure that they understand who you are and what you're all about. Which takes me on to tip number 4 very nicely. Be human. We sometimes forget this. I forget this. Spend the time building rapport with your vendor. Spend the time building a rapport with your customer. Sometimes, and I learned this lesson back circa around 2004. Now, 2004, I was 24 years old. I was a young lad trying to do 1 million deals in a year, pretty much like the headless chicken scenario that I gave you earlier on. And I would go into a vendor's house and I would be in and out within about 15 minutes thinking, yeah, I'll go in, I'll put my offer forward, I'll tell them all the benefits, and out I go. Now, reflecting back on it, how many deals did I lose as a result of my, almost call it knee-jerk reaction? If I sat there and now, just so you know, in 2006, I actually employed a guy, he's mid-50s, English gentleman, very well spoken. His name was John, and I employed him, and his role was literally to go into every house, and I told him that you've got to sit in each house for approximately an hour to 2 hours. You've got to drink their tea, you've got to eat their biscuits, you've got to listen to their stories, you've got to build that rapport. And believe it or not, he would come out deal after deal after deal. He'd come out of that house, he goes, yeah, Arsh, okay, yeah, we've got that property. We've got it at 20, 30% below market value. They fell in love with him. He spent the time with them. He listened to their stories. He drank their tea. He drank their coffee. He had the patience that I did not. You've got to remember, people do business with people they like and trust. By spending that time there, he literally bought their trust and he built in their trust. He over-delivered and under-promised. Does that kind of make sense? Does that kind of hit home for you right now? Finally, tip number 5, get things done. Now, we've got 2 kinds of people in this world. We've got the doers and we've got the talker. I'm a doer. I don't like talking about it. I'd rather tell you about it after I've done it. I've got lots of people that come to me and say, Arsh, we're thinking about doing this. And my response to them is, okay, tell me about it once you've done it. And they will still come back to me in 2 months' time. Oh, we're still going through the process. By that point, I would have already done it. If someone says, Arsh, okay, I've got this idea, I say, okay, let's run with it. What we're going to do with it. And I've already got the marketing plan in place for it. Be the doer. If you're thinking, well, I want to, use this if you want as your catalyst to say, well, from now on, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm only going to talk about it once I've done it. So if I say I'm going to put out 100 leaflets or 1,000 leaflets or 100 letters, whatever it may be, why didn't you say, instead of I'm going to, why didn't you say last week or yesterday I did send out 100 leaflets? That means that you're telling people you've taken action. People like doing business with action takers. We can all talk about it. So become a doer, not a talker. And think of all the time that you've talked about something and you haven't followed it through. I can't think of many scenarios where I've spoken about something and not gone through with it. If I think about all the time that I probably would have talked about it, how much time have I lost, and could I have gone off and done it? And what would that look like in terms of results and actionable points? So there we have it, guys. There's my 5 top tips. So remember, number 1, have goals. Tip number 2, be creative. Tip number 3, remain focused and disciplined. Tip number 4, be human. Tip number 5, get things done. Be the doer, not the talker. Hopefully you've enjoyed the session. Hopefully you've taken away lots of points from it. Feel free to leave me some feedback. If you like it, feel free to comment or tag us on all kinds of social media. So you can catch me on social media. So I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So you can find me under Arsh Ilahi. If you do like free content, I release a new video on YouTube every Thursday at 4 p.m. So again, you can search me as Arsh Ilahi. Going back to one of my points, every Thursday at 4 p.m, being consistent. So I do lots of videos on there. So if you like the thought of more free content, feel free to go and subscribe to my channel. More importantly, as I mentioned with every episode, I'm the founder of the UK's first property investment app called Property Investor. It's an app which showcases all kinds of property deals all over the UK. So we've got below market value deals, rent to rent deals, lease option deals, development deals, service accommodation deals, commercial deals, just to name a few. There's approximately 200 deals on the app. It is called Property Investor, and to get involved, it's completely free. Whether you're looking for a deal or whether you've got a deal to sell, you can actually give us your deal to sell on the app as well. We've got over 18,000 users on the app now, which is really good, going within just under a year and a half. If you like the thought of that, all you've got to do is you can either go to a website, which is propertyinvestorapp.co.uk, or you can go to the App Store and type in Property Investor. So if you've got an Android or you've got an iOS device, type in Property Investor in the App Store. It's completely free to download. It takes you approximately 2 minutes to register, and you've got all the details there right in the palm of your hand. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the session. Feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.
The large majority of people make a positive change if they take immediate action. So act now. Download the Property Investor app and join Arsh on his social media channels to excel your property journey.